Yes, Key West, Florida was once its own country, in a way. It called itself the Conch Republic. This wasn't a full, recognized country like France or Japan, but for a short time, and then as a lasting symbol, it declared its independence. It was a protest, it was funny, it was very Key West. This story starts in 1982. But to understand it, you need to know a little about Key West first. It's a small island at the very end of the Florida Keys. US 1 is the only road in and out. It's famous for its relaxed vibe, its unique culture, and being a bit separate from the rest of Florida. People there like to do things their own way. That independent spirit is key to the Conch Republic. And Key West sits at the very end of the long chain of islands called the Florida Keys. It's about 160 miles from Miami. Most of that is over bridges and causeways. There is only one road connecting the Keys to mainland Florida. That road is US 1. It starts way up north in Maine, and it ends right in Key West. For people living in Key West, this road is their lifeline. It connects them to everything. Goods come in on it. Tourists drive down it. It is super important because Key West is so far south, it's also quite close to Cuba. This close proximity to Cuba has always made it a place that gets looked at by the government. Sometimes this attention has felt heavy-handed to the locals. In the early 1980s, the US government was worried about drugs and also about people coming into the country illegally, especially from Cuba and other Caribbean nations. They wanted to stop this, so they decided to do something about it. The US Border Patrol set up a checkpoint. This was not just a regular police stop. This checkpoint was placed on US 1 a little north of the city of Key Largo. This meant that anyone driving south into the Florida Keys or leaving Key West to go north had to pass through it. This checkpoint was more than 100 miles north of Key West itself. It was a long way from the actual border of the country. People did not like this, not at all. Think about it. If you lived in Key West, you were already in the United States. You were not crossing into another country, but the Border Patrol checkpoint treated everyone like they were entering the US for the first time. They stopped cars, they asked questions, they sometimes searched vehicles, it caused huge traffic jams. Long lines of cars would back up for miles. People were stuck there in the hot Florida sun. For tourists, this was a nightmare. Many people came to Key West to relax. They wanted a fun, easy vacation. Getting stopped and questioned on the only road into the Keys made them feel unwelcome. It made them wonder if Key West was even part of the US. Some tourists just turned around. They gave up and went somewhere else. This was very bad for business. Key West relies heavily on tourism. It's how many people make their living there. Hotels, restaurants, gift shops, fishing charters, they all depend on people coming to visit. When fewer tourists came, money stopped flowing. Businesses suffered. People started losing jobs. Locals were angry too. They felt targeted. They were American citizens just trying to go home or go to work. They felt like the government was treating them like foreigners in their own country. They had to prove they were citizens to go to their own homes. It felt insulting. It felt like an invasion of their space and their rights. It was as if Key West was being cut off from the rest of the United States. The checkpoint acted like a customs station. It created an imaginary border between the Keys and the rest of Florida. People joked that they needed passports to get home, but it wasn't really funny. Well, it was frustrating and financially damaging. The mayor of Key West at the time was Dennis Wardlow. He heard all the complaints. He saw the empty hotels and shops. He knew something had to be done. He tried talking to government officials. He explained the problems. He told them about the economic harm. He asked them to move the checkpoint or to stop it altogether. He went to court. He tried everything through normal channels, but nothing worked. The Border Patrol kept the checkpoint right where it was. They said they had a right to do it. They said it was necessary for national security. The people of Key West felt ignored. They felt like Washington, D.C. didn't care about their small island at the end of the road. They were frustrated, they were mad, and that frustration grew and grew until it reached a boiling point. They needed to make a statement. They needed to do something big, something that would get attention. Something that would show the rest of the country just how ridiculous the situation had become. They needed to show that if the government was going to treat them like a foreign country, then maybe they should just be one. This feeling, this idea, was the spark. It led directly to the birth of the Conch Republic. The frustration in Key West boiled over. It was April 1982. Mayor Dennis Wardlow had tried everything. He went to court. He tried to get injunctions. He talked to anyone who would listen in Washington. But the U.S. Border Patrol checkpoint stayed put. It continued to choke off the lifeline to Key West. Businesses were hurting badly. The whole economy was suffering. On April 23rd, 1982, Mayor Wardlow reached his limit. He decided a different approach was needed, a bold approach, an approach that would make people pay attention. He announced that Key West would secede from the United States. He declared it an independent nation. He called it the Conch Republic. The name Conch Republic comes from the nickname for people born in Key West. They are called conchs, pronounced conchs, after the large sea snails found in the area. It was a perfect name. It showed local pride and a sense of unique identity. The declaration was made in front of a crowd. It was a mix of locals and news reporters. They had gathered to see what would happen. Wardlow read a proclamation. It declared Key West a sovereign nation. He stated that the United States government had failed to protect its citizens in Key West. He said the checkpoint had essentially put a border around their island. This made Key West a foreign land in the eyes of the U.S. government, so Key West would become a foreign land officially. But here's the most famous part. After declaring independence, the Conch Republic immediately declared war on the United States. This was not a real war with bombs and bullets. This was a symbolic war. It was meant to be funny. It was meant to be absurd. It was meant to highlight the absurdity of the Border Patrol checkpoint. Mayor Wardlow, now acting as the Prime Minister of the Conch Republic, grabbed a loaf of stale Cuban bread. He aimed it at a man dressed in a U.S. Navy uniform. The man was Commander Bob Kistner, a local who was in on the joke. Wardlow attacked him with the bread. It was a direct hit. The war had begun. And just as quickly, the war ended. Within a minute, Prime Minister Wardlow surrendered to the U.S. Navy officer. He quickly asked for $1 billion in foreign aid. He cited the poor economic conditions caused by the occupation, meaning the checkpoint. It was all a grand performance, a theatrical protest. The whole thing was brilliant. It was perfectly Key West. It had humor, it had a bit of defiance, it had flair. And most importantly, it worked. News cameras were there, reporters from all over the country, and even some from other parts of the world picked up the story. And tiny island nation declares war on U.S. Key West secedes. The headlines were everywhere. And people found it hilarious. They found it fascinating. They talked about it. They wondered what was going on down in Key West. The U.S. government, specifically the Border Patrol, was probably a bit embarrassed. Their checkpoint, which was supposed to be a serious matter of national security, had been turned into a joke. The whole situation became a public relations nightmare for them. They had wanted to be taken seriously. Instead, they were the butt of a very clever joke. The checkpoint was removed shortly after. It's hard to say if the Conch Republic Declaration was the only reason, but it certainly put immense pressure on the authorities. It brought national attention to a local problem. It made the U.S. government look silly for treating American citizens like foreigners. So, for a brief, glorious moment on April 23rd, 1982, Key West truly was its own country. It declared its independence. It declared war. It surrendered. And it got exactly what it wanted, the removal of that irritating economy-crippling checkpoint. It was a victory of wit and humor over bureaucracy, and it created a legend that would last for decades. The Conch Republic was born, not as a real nation, but as a symbol of Key West's unique spirit and its people's refusal to be pushed around. The Conch Republic was born out of protest, but it didn't just disappear after the Border Patrol checkpoint was removed. Instead, it grew into something else. It became a permanent part of Key West's identity. It's not a real country, not in the way other countries are. No one expects the United Nations to recognize it. No one seriously thinks Key West will start printing its own money or issuing real passports. But it is very real in spirit. It's a micronation. A micronation is like a pretend country. It has a government and laws, but usually just for fun or for a special reason. The Conch Republic is a perfect example of this. It's really a state of mind. It represents the quirky, independent, and sometimes rebellious nature of Key West. It's a way for people there to say, we are different. We do things our own way. You can still see signs of the Conch Republic everywhere in Key West. There are flags flying all over town. The flag is a light blue field with a yellow sun, a conch shell, and the words Conch Republic and we seceded where others failed. It's a proud symbol. Many local businesses display the flag. People wear t-shirts with the flag on them. You can even buy Conch Republic passports in gift shops. These aren't real passports, of course. You can't use them to cross international borders, but they are a fun souvenir. Some businesses even put Conch Republic passport control signs on their doors as a joke for tourists walking in. It adds to the charm of the place. The Conch Republic still has a prime minister. It has other officials too. These are mostly local residents who take on these roles with humor and dedication. They aren't running a real government. They are more like ambassadors of Key West's unique spirit. They appear at events, they keep the story alive, they remind people what the Conch Republic stands for. They are the keepers of the flame. Every year, there's a big celebration. It's called the Conch Republic Independence Celebration. It happens in April, around the anniversary of the original declaration. It's a week-long party. It's one of the biggest tourist events of the year in Key West. People come from all over to join in the fun. There are parades, there are costume parties, there are boat races, there are mock battles. They reenact the war with the stale Cuban bread. There are usually silly military exercises. It's all very lighthearted and festive. The Conch Republic military is another part of the fun. It's made up of volunteers, often dressed in funny uniforms. They might have water cannons on their boats. They might stage mock invasions or defenses. It's all for entertainment. They often participate in charity events. They use the Conch Republic identity to raise money for good causes in the Keys. So while it started as a protest, it has evolved into a way to promote tourism, community spirit, and even philanthropy. The whole idea of the Conch Republic really fits with the general vibe of Key West. Key West has always attracted people who are a little bit different. Artists, writers, free spirits, people who want to escape the normal 9-to-5 life. It's a place where individuality is celebrated, eccentricity is welcome. The Conch Republic captures that feeling perfectly. It's a reminder that it's okay to be different, to stand up for yourself, and to do it with a smile and a sense of humor. It means that when you visit Key West, you're not just visiting another American city. You're visiting a place that has its own distinct personality, a place that once dared to declare itself a nation, even if just for a moment. And that moment created a lasting identity. It shows that sometimes the best way to deal with a problem is not through anger, but through cleverness and a bit of playful defiance. The Conch Republic is a living example of that. It's a reminder that even small islands can have a big voice, especially when they use humor to make their point. The Conch Republic was a joke, a protest, but it had a real and lasting impact on Key West. You could even say it changed the island forever. The biggest impact was on tourism. Before the Conch Republic, Key West was already a popular spot, but after the declaration, it got famous in a new way. It became that quirky island that tried to secede. This made people even more curious. So tourism is the lifeblood of Key West. The Conch Republic became a brand. It was a unique selling point. It gave the island a story, a narrative that stood out. People loved the idea of visiting a place that had its own country status, even if just for fun. They wanted to see the flags. They wanted to buy the passports. They wanted to experience that independent spirit. This brought more visitors. More visitors meant more money for local businesses. Hotels got booked. Restaurants filled up. Shops sold more souvenirs. It was a huge boost to the local economy. It also solidified Key West's image. Key West was already known for being a bit eccentric. The Conch Republic took that idea and ran with it. It became a core part of the island's personality. It said, yes, we are quirky. Yes, we are independent, and we're proud of it. This image attracted people who appreciated that kind of vibe. It drew in those who loved unusual destinations. It made Key West even more special and memorable. Beyond the money, the Conch Republic created a powerful sense of community. When you face an outside threat like the Border Patrol checkpoint felt to locals, it often brings people together. The shared act of defiance, the collective humor, all these things forged a stronger bond among the residents. They all shared this unique experience. They all shared the pride in their clever victory. This created a collective identity. It gave them something unique to celebrate. It was a symbol of their resilience. The Conch Republic became a symbol of how Key West locals could stand up for themselves. They showed they wouldn't just quietly accept whatever came down from a faraway government. They used creativity and humor instead of anger or violence. This approach resonated deeply with the local culture. It was a perfect fit for the laid-back, yet spirited people of Key West. It showed that being a bit silly could be a very powerful tool. The Conch Republic also allowed locals to express their unique culture. Key West has a rich history. It has people from all over. It has a mix of Caribbean, Cuban, and American influences. This blend makes it special. The Conch Republic flag, the celebrations, the whole story, gave people a way to showcase this distinct identity. It wasn't just about being American, it was about being a conch. It was about having a culture that was different from mainland Florida. There are still ongoing messages it conveys. It's a constant reminder of the importance of local autonomy. It shows that communities have a voice. It also suggests that sometimes the best way to deal with bureaucracy is with a good laugh. It's a gentle jab at overreach by big government. It reminds people that regulations should make sense and not harm the very people they are meant to serve. The Conch Republic continues to be a way to keep those issues in people's minds, but always with a smile. The impact of the Conch Republic stretches far beyond 1982. It transformed a local protest into a global phenomenon. It made Key West even more famous. It solidified its reputation as a unique, independent, and fun place to be. It created a lasting legacy of humor, defiance, and community spirit that continues to define the island today. It proved that sometimes the most effective way to make a point is to put on a show and get everyone laughing along with you. And in doing so, it helped Key West not just survive, but truly thrive. The Conch Republic didn't pack up its flags and go home after the Border Patrol checkpoint was removed. It stuck around. It became something much more enduring than a one-time protest. It evolved into a permanent fixture of Key West life and culture. It's not a real country. No one pretends it is in a serious political way. But its legacy is very real. Today, the Conch Republic is still celebrated. The annual Independence celebration in April is a huge event. It brings together locals and tourists. It's a week of parades, parties, and general merriment. It's a chance to remember that moment in 1982. It's also a chance to just have a good time, Key West style. The humor from that first declaration is still very much alive. The war with the stale bread gets reenacted. The Prime Minister makes speeches. It's a joyful, slightly silly tradition that keeps the spirit of defiance and fun alive. The Conch Republic holds a special place in Key West history. It's a story told to every visitor. It's a piece of local folklore that's also historically true. It speaks to the island's independent character. It reminds everyone that Key West is a place where people do things differently. It's not just a quaint story, it's a foundational myth for the modern Key West identity. It gives the island a unique origin story. Is there any serious intent behind it now? Not really. No one in Key West is genuinely trying to secede from the United States today. The purpose has shifted. It started as a serious protest against a very real problem. But it transformed into a symbol. It's a symbol of self-reliance. It's a symbol of community strength. It's a symbol of the unique, quirky personality of Key West. It's about celebrating what makes the island different. The Conch Republic is a reminder that Key West exists outside the mainstream. It's a place where artists, freethinkers, and eccentrics have always found a home. The idea of the Conch Republic embodies this spirit. It shows that sometimes the best way to handle big government or big problems is with a good sense of humor and a bit of playful rebellion. It's a testament to the power of a clever idea. It also serves as a permanent marketing tool. And Key West thrives on tourism. The Conch Republic gives it an extra layer of charm and intrigue. It's a story people remember. It's a reason to visit. It's why you see the flags, the t-shirts, the bumper stickers all over the island. It's a brand that has been embraced wholeheartedly by the community. So, while Key West was never a country in the traditional sense, the Conch Republic is a very real part of its identity. It's a vital part of what makes Key West. Key West is a constant celebration of the island's unique character, its people's resilience, and their enduring sense of humor. It started as a bold declaration in 1982 to get attention. It worked, and in doing so, it created a legacy that continues to define this little island at the end of the road. It reminds us that sometimes a little bit of fun and defiance can go a long way in making a serious point and shaping a community for generations to come. The Conch Republic lives on, not as a political entity, but as a vibrant, colorful, and beloved symbol of Key West.